Alright guys, welcome. Now I do apologize today if you hear a very slight buzzing or hissing in the background. It's because I've got a fan on full blast blowing into my face because it's so hot and summery and ridiculous at the moment. I kind of need to. I've been avoiding it so long in the series so far, but yeah, cannot resist today. Anyway, we're back at Ratasum. I honestly didn't think we'd have so many trips back to Ratasum, but I did want to show you something just before we continue the story, and that's some of the NPCs that have updated back here with Brack. So check it out. You got Whispers Agent Otto Baron Yard here.
What's the password?
Who won't actually speak to us in any meaningful way. We've also got over in the corner here, maybe I've shown you guys this already, question mark. But Kozak and Shrieksy are over there. You remember, Brack started his adventure hanging out with them. They were to do with the very old energy detector. This was the raptor egg that we found that then hatched into an adorable baby raptor, as you see there. They've been hanging out in our home instance. And the really cool one, well, sort of, is over here in this bed. And as you can see, it's Mira. So I love this. But if you remember, Mira is the Lion Guard woman who was on beach patrol. We did quite a bit of fighting alongside her, revived her, did all kinds of stuff, and then she had her face melted off by dragon corruption as Claw Island fell, and she screamed, "My eyes, my eyes!" Well, since that time, she's been on our home instance. Now, I have told you that, but I haven't shown it off. So here for Bract, she comes and sleeps on this bed. Unfortunately, she, like, clips into it and stuff. This isn't true for the other races because the beds are different, but, like, an Asura hammock just looks really weird. So, unfortunately, she's, like, clipped in. But what I want to show you is if we click her now, and the only way I can really do this is by looking, actually, at the icon here. But, you know, she's veteran, and the face there, we're zooming in, she's, like, had all of the hair singed and burned off her face, and she's missing an eye with a horrible little just plaster covering it up. So I did want to show that out, and she's just kind of recovering here. She's not done in the story. Not yet, much like how Karis and Tegwin come to a home instance and then go off to greener pastures later. Maybe we will see the same for Mira. So yeah, I just wanted to start off back home. Let's get with this big moment now over in Lion's Arch to do with the orders. So remember, what's happened is we have all been attacked by Zaitan, by his forces in the very heart of the Chantry, and Bract has implored Real and Co, the Preceptors, to open up, to exploit their contacts even further, and actually start collaborating with the Vigil, with the Dermond Priory, and we're having a big gathering here at the Claw Island Pier. We actually managed to beat back Zaitan from our homes, which is kind of the first real victory we've seen at all against the undead on a large scale. And so now we're wondering, if we pull our heads together, what else might we be able to accomplish? So let's head on in to Retribution, the end of the chapter. And here you'll notice we're in Old Lion's Arch. This is kind of cool. You see these targets out here in the distance. They were never really used for anything in the game. I think the idea was this plateau over this cliff, which unfortunately, well, maybe I can walk up and show you. Oh, these are the boundaries to the instance, though. I think the idea was maybe there were going to be trebs or something you could practice firing over there, but it was never really a thing. There you can see the Old Lion's Arch Lighthouse, which is destroyed now, but that was there in Guild Wars 1, and a new one being built over there. Off in the distance too, and we're down at the docks on the far side of the Asura gates. And what do we see here? Well, a ton of NPCs and a lot of different people we can talk to.
So, I see Gix stumbled out of his library, and the Preceptor crawled out of her hole.
I see you're not letting rationality get in the way of your ignorance, Almora. How predictable.
Who are you calling ignorant, you twitchy little bookworm?
Wonderful. I see we're off to a running start. The Order of Whispers needs allies, not infants.
All right. So all the leaders are here. I love this.
Enough bickering, all of you. Our real enemy lurks across the waves. Zaitan's servants march at the gates of Lion's Arch. We must band together, or we will all be destroyed.
When I joined my order, I swore to fight Zaitan. I will die for Tyria if I must. However, I believe that together we can win. The Vigil has shown tremendous courage in the fight against the dragons. This alliance will require courage as well. Why back down now? The Order of Whispers has seen nations rise and fall. You cannot hide from this threat. You need to make a stand. And who knows more about the dragons than the Priory? Just think of how much there is to learn. Where else but in ore?
By the worlds of eternal alchemy, you're bold. But you're correct. Knowledge is useless if it is not used. We shall aid you.
The Order of Whispers has worked for generations to bring nations together. We can do no less now. Our blades are yours.
The Vigil fears nothing, not even ill-tempered, undisciplined louts like these two. We'll join, but I insist there's a decent hierarchy. Who will lead this compact?
Logic dictates that it cannot be a member of any of our orders, lest one be seen as above the other two. Quite a conundrum.
I've already considered that. Traherne, you've never joined an order, yet they all respect you. You've studied ore all your life. Will you lead us?
I never wanted to be a soldier. I'm only a seeker of truth. But, yes, I will lead this pack to the gates of Ara, and together, we will see Zaitan destroyed. First, to Claw Island. Let us send our defiant message straight into the heart of Ore. Tyria stands as one. All my life, I've watched Ore, studied it, researched the abominations that Zaitan spawns. I have avoided the challenge of my wild hunt. I hid, always claiming I was not yet ready. I did not think Ore could be cleansed. I feared failure, but you're right. It is time to act. We'll either cleanse the land or return to it.
Well done. It's so cool to hear Sylvari say that. I love that. So here we see, this is a great moment. This is Traherne listening to what the Pale Tree told him very recently with the vision of Ore. We saw him leading these people. We saw him a hero in charge and speaking. And Bract, we push him just that little bit. I love that we, as Bract, are like so charismatic. And like the whole idea of the Asura manipulating people to do what we want is brilliant. Gix like jumps to our defense straight away. We don't know each other, but we're both Asura, so we stand by one another. Obviously, we're members of the Order of Whispers, and we have the ear of the Preceptors. We argued for them to come here in the first place. So it's so cool that we can kind of orchestrate this, and then Traherne steps forward and pushes it the rest of the way. But look at how many high-powered, awesome characters there are here. Starting off, first of all, with Professor Gore.
What can I do for you?
Who says, so many targets, so many opportunities to test my theory. Very exciting. So just keep your head down and your weapon up, Professor. Because we picked Gore, we have Gore here. All right? And I'm looking forward to using your weapon, my friend. We have some members of the Lion Guard here who are hosts to all of this. And he's got a very scary, cool mask. Again, like, I could so easily see the Lion Guards kind of as the fourth piece, you know, of the puzzle. They're there for all these big major moments. They just don't, like, have a representative. Commodore Lawson Mariner isn't here. None of the members of the Captain's Council are here. They so easily could have been. Here we find a new character, this guy called Agent Zot, who we'll learn a bit more about in a second when we speak to Dern, I think. But yeah, as Bract, as a member of the Order of Whispers, look, we can now speak to Gix, leader of the Devon Priory. Ah, yes, Bract, you're taller than your dossier would suggest. And bolder, do you really think we could stand a chance? I do, Steward. We'll retake that island. You'll see. So, yeah, we actually get to speak with him. Not very much, but we do a little bit. Here's Winnet, the fair-haired. And she says, I don't know how you arm-wrestled them to be here, but you've got the tenacity of a mastiff, Bract. Thank you. Are you ready for battle? Our scholars offered up very few alchemical compounds and developed a siege shot that takes advantage of the rotting forms of the Risen. Brilliant. That sounds useful. I look forward to seeing it in action. So their plans are stepping forward. And even the Vigil, who, I mean, are a mystery to us right now. Really, we know so little. You got War Master Ifut here. An Asura with the Vigil. What a cool idea straight away, right? Like, I love the thought of the brains of an Asura that cares with the sensibilities of a Vigil member. God, the Vigil are really exciting in that way, but we just know so little. They say, I'm not used to following someone so undisciplined, but if Almora trusts you, I guess I can too. And does Almora, so the leader of the Vigil, legendary status here. So, you're the one who called this together? Good initiative. But I fear your hopes are misplaced. This lot will never learn to work together. Give it a chance, General. You might be surprised. So there we get to meet her. And we have the Order of Whispers as well. So hey guys, we're more than familiar with these. Now one thing I love, okay, is we know that Real is the master of whispers. Real is pulling the strings. But who speaks in this instance? Who has stepped forward? The Preceptors are. And they take that. They are, even just down to the positioning of these NPCs, they are like the shield so that the world doesn't truly know. Real's just sort of sneaky back there. So we can have a conversation here with Halvora, who says, this is dangerous, Lightbringer. If we commit to this and fail, we may lose more than our order. We won't fail. Tell me, do you know General Soulkeeper well? And we can ask, because we are Order of Whispers, we get more dialogue, and we can ask their opinions of these other people. So, General Soulkeeper of the Vigil, Blood Legion. And remember, these are both Chars, so they definitely know one another. Well, maybe not. Some Char will have existed outside of the High Legions long enough, I suppose, that not all Char know each other, obviously. But, I mean, she's a famous Char, let me put it that way. Blood Legion, and we're the Order of Whispers. Our job is to know things. Blood Legion lost her warband in a dragon attack. Cunning. Ferocious. I respect her, but she's predictable. And Gix, he's a genius, it's true, but short-sighted. Too wrapped up in his experiments to see the laboratories on fire. Sounds like a standard Asura to me. I'll see what I can do. Dern will speak to us. Look, we get so many more NPCs with the Order of Whispers. The Master of Whispers has tapped me to lead our Order's contingent. Grim duty, to be sure. So Dern is usually stuck in the Chantry, and yet he's out here. And here he's going to talk to us about Zot. I'm glad you'll be with us. Is anyone else coming? He says, see that pensive figure behind me? That's Agent Zot. He was my partner when I was in the field, and he refuses to let me go alone now. What does he do? He's our resident optics specialist, a real genius with magical effects. An optics specialist? Well, we saw that Gore was playing with optics a little bit before, you know, the colors of the spectrum or whatever, letting different types of undead through. So hold on, there are signal towers on Claw Island that use optics. He says, I look forward to being in the field again. So, we're going to do something with those towers, it seems. I'll see you on the island, we say. And Zot himself won't speak to us. Speak. Now, last when the Let's Play, bit behind the scenes, was dealing with Dern, it inspired me enough to make a separate video outside of this series where I talked about how mysterious he is and how, like, he doesn't seem to know Kryta and what all the possibilities could be. One thing I never talked about in that video at all is his connection with Agent Zot. So, supposedly, Zot could know a lot about the mysteries of Dern. And does the optics stuff come into it? I don't really know, but it's food for thought for those extremely invested lore nerds out there with me who have been thinking on those things. Zot is a piece of the puzzle to Dern as well. And then lastly, we've got Real. She says, not here, not now. Be cautious, Lightbringer. These are not our allies yet. I understand. So it's still tentative as hell. It's still scary and risky and worrying. Lastly, we have Traherne, who is stepping forward well and truly, even beyond us at this point. He says, leading this conjoined force will be a difficult task. This is the destiny the Pale Tree foresaw. You can do it. I'll be right beside you. So all that's left now, guys, is to defeat Zaitan's forces and retake Claw Island. Let's join the assault. All right, we're in Retribution. Hey, guys. So we get a variety of people. We're under the ship. We hear the cannons firing. It's Gore. Ugh, still seasick. At least we made it in one piece. Traherne is waiting for us up on deck. It'll pass. Did you bring the vacuum magical polarizer? I did. Once the battle is underway, find me and I'll give you one. Thanks. Good luck. Who knows what we'll see out there. Last we saw, this place was pretty overrun. Let's do it. A messenger from Ascalon arrived today, bringing the first word from home since the Vanguard were tasked with slowing the Char offensive years ago. The Vanguard's deeds reached the ears of the king. The forces have been recalled. There's a quiet relief that can be felt throughout the unit. Their long, hard-fought struggle is coming to an end, away from the troops. Captain Gwen Thackeray seems concerned, an unspoken question on her lips. Though Ascalon is telling them to return, is their mission really complete with Char still nearby? The troops leave a skeleton force to protect the Eye of the North as they set out in the black of night on their return journey. The captain won't let the Char know that they've all but abandoned the North. The fanfare upon returning to the ruined city of Ascalon was indescribable. The Vanguard has accomplished something the troops here in Ascalon have only dreamed of: victory against the Char in their own land. King Adalbern's speech commemorating the efforts of Captain Gwen Thackeray and the Vanguard moved both civilians and soldiers alike. The Vanguard's efforts bring hope to a war-torn land. A week has passed since the return of the Vanguard to Ascalon, and still the hero worship continues. Children run through the streets playing Evan Vanguard and Char. King Adalbern has called the city together to make an announcement. The Vanguard are ordered to appear in full dress uniform. Uncertainty ripples through the unit, but this does not diminish their pride. The Vanguard is being sent south, to the mouth of the Crystal Desert, where a dire threat is rising. They're charged with building fortifications to protect against an enemy the king warns is coming. Captain Thackeray gracefully accepts the duty placed before her and the Vanguard. Civilians look confused and worried. This new threat was not expected. Today, a weaponsmith questioned the king's decision to send the Vanguard back into harm's way so soon. In response, the king decreed that he should join the expedition to keep the Vanguard properly armed. Before long, a baker, a leather crafter, a tailor, and their families had also been ordered to join the caravan. Is this a sign of support from the king, or an act to remove opposition from sight? It's a question I dare not voice. Regardless, the Evan Vanguard prepares to leave home once more, doing so without complaint and with their usual efficiency. The day the Vanguard left Ascalon, the second time, was sad, but proud. Civilians lined the street to honor these heroes from the north. At the city gates, dozens of civilians from various trades met the unit to unexpectedly join them on their journey. Additional supplies were packed to accommodate them. So many people willing to leave with the Vanguard and abandon all they'd ever known. Was it pride for the unit that spurred them on? Or was it fear from their king? Alright guys, welcome back to the adventures of Tyrix. So we've just joined the Vigil. We haven't formally really spoken to anyone, just our contact after finally resolving the mystery of Howl and what happened with the amulet there. But I wanted to take a minute just to show you something back home in Ascalon that we skipped last time we were exploring the original starter map. And that's here at this great body of water known...
Separatists are attacking the Iron Barracuda!
We're going drake hunting tomorrow. Wanna come?
Known as the Ascalon Basin. I'm going to just talk over some of these Char in the area. So we're going to grab this waypoint over here. And the reason for coming back here is because the Char are being particularly ingenious and smart right around now with some of their inventions. So I want to speak to a couple of NPCs. You'll notice there's a puny, pathetic little Asura down here, but nonetheless, it's got some interesting things to say. And there's a dynamic event nearby as well that says, kill the Separatists before they destroy the Iron Barracuda. So, what is the Iron Barracuda? Let's find out. Talk says, the engineering behind these structures is remarkable. My crew will be pleased with the findings, especially on the submarine in the Iron Docks. Wait, submarine in the Iron Docks? What is this, a cultural exchange? Something like that. I'm studying the Iron Legion engineering on behalf of the College of Dynamics, which has an acute interest in Char technology. Maybe you'll learn a thing or two, we say. And next to him is a fellow member of the High Legions.
Question?
Who says, this Asura here is for research. I'm not surprised. Iron Legion technology is superior to Asuran trinkets, but there's something to their lights and bubbles. What do you mean? Well, they've got innovation pegged, but their problem lies in practicality. My engineers are trying to make things function, not sparkle. It's a great way of contrasting the two most technologically developed races in Tyria, the Asura and the Char. One is about trinkets and gizmos and magitech. The other is about function above all, and they don't care how ugly and gross and polluted and disgusting everything gets, as long as it's the best it can be, which is kind of amazing. So the result of that with the Char here in Iron Legion Heartlands, remember the Iron Legion are the inventors and the builders more than anything else, is they're building a submarine. Here we can find a Legionnaire, Burnwhite, who says, the submarine's under attack. Somebody swim out there and stop the Separatists, somebody other than me. I see the submarine, but where are the Separatists? Head toward it and dive down. You'll find them there. Just keep them from setting any more bombs, okay? So you actually notice the submarine's about to blow up, which is not what I was expecting. There's the sub, the Iron Barracuda it's called. Let's try and get over to it. And it seems that there are no players in the area defending it right now. Oh, there's one person. Okay, let's try and help him out. Let's get some great underwater warrior gameplay. We have no skills equipped here. Does that mean that we've never fought underwater on Tyrix? So the Barracuda has no health. We have to be really careful actually taking these saboteurs out then, because the odds are that they're going to win. In fact, look at how friggin' many there are right now. Yeah, it got destroyed. They actually managed to blow up. Event failed. Kill the Separatists before it gets destroyed. And it looks like, to me, it's been blown up and blasted. Ouch. That isn't very good at all. Oh, dear. Well, at least it didn't sink completely. Can we stand on it when it's destroyed? We can. So there's several events right now. You'll notice we're not actually in the area of a meta event, but there are several events in the area to do with Separatists that build a base up there. They come, they attack, you can rebuild and do all kinds of things. You'll also notice we're in the area of a heart right now.
Flaming backfires. There goes our submarine. I'm going to show the Imperator.
Burn me if I know. We got no choice but to make repairs. Will somebody tell me why I'm still plagued by Separatists?
Listen, they aren't exactly easy to kill. They pop up like weeds. We kill one and 2 more show up. We're trying to find their base, but it isn't easy.
Excuses, excuses. Just keep them away once we start the repairs, would ya?
So there will be another event now that goes as they repair this. There's, let me tell you guys, a ton of dialogue in this area based on what events are going on and as these Char wander around. Welcome to the shipyard, says Aine Bernhardt. She's like the main one, I think. We're working on our latest and greatest weapon of warfare here when we aren't being attacked by those flaming Separatists. So just remind me, trouble from the Separatists? They have a base somewhere in the hills south of here. I'm not sure where. They just keep trying to disrupt our operations here, especially the submarine. You mean the one docked over there? I do. It's imposing, isn't it? It's taken us many years to perfect it, but it works now. If we could just get rid of the Separatists, we could really test it out. I bet. I'm going to go. Now, there is another NPC. I mean, so many people we can talk to, and you can learn a little bit about what they're aiming to deal with. Here you go. So the submarine parts are in the area, and we can now try and rebuild it. You, go dredge the lake for submarine parts so I can start repairs.
Check the lake for parts from the submarine. Those blasted drakes are everywhere, and I can't swim down to retrieve them.
So we could go do this. I'm probably not going to do this. My plan was just to show off the sub.
Sink, they float. Something to do with air pockets and forward momentum.
They're using air bladders on the next prototype. I'm skeptical.
Oh my god, they're taking inspiration from turtles? That's so badass, man. I was expecting it just to be built and we could get the information straight away. I've got one more hope. Maybe there's another NPC that will give you their long-term game plan. But they're building a sub to impress the Imperator. And let me just tell you, this technology you're seeing birthed and prototyped right here in this map will become relevant later in the story. So keep an eye on how Iron Legion continues the fight. Here's a guy, Sagurus Ironhammer. Well, Ironhammer is an interesting name as well because there were dwarves with that name before. I don't actually claim that there's some kind of a connection. It's obviously just the way the Char name themselves and coincidental, but it's kind of cool. He says, can you smell the smoke? Hear the clanging? We're building the weapons of the future. Unfortunately, we're having to wage constant battle against the Separatists just to keep on schedule. What weapons of the future? The future lies below the horizon, under the water. Our submarine at the dock's end is going to finish this war against the dragons. All that's left is a few modifications. How does it work? When it's ready, it will be fitted with weapons and carry troops. If you want to know more, you have to find someone privy to the details of the operation. And the Separatists? Aye, those blasted humans who refuse to accept the treaty we signed with them are a constant threat. Right, so this is the Separatists, the treaty. It's like a whole other side to what's going on. We've got Traherne traveling around the world. We've got activity with Zaitan. And it's kind of like there's two sides of the story right now because there is the stuff with the treaty going on too with the Char. They're constantly trying to sabotage our work from the base somewhere to the south. The treaty with Ebonhawk. We stopped killing the humans, and they're supposed to return the favor. Apparently, the Separatist group had their fingers crossed. In time, we'll win them over, or run them over. If we'd gone through with our siege of Ebonhawk, they'd already be taken care of. But Smoder decided we could better use our resources elsewhere. We should be looking to the future, not dwelling on the past, we say. So, yes, right, Ebonhawk, that mysterious place in Ascalon that the Char were sieging for hundreds of years, and it only just stopped because of this treaty. Negotiations still underway, Cordicus Manor, all that stuff. Well, hey, what would you guys think if I told you we're about to learn a lot more on that? So there you go, that's the submarine. Let's go deal with some of the Vigil stuff. Starting off by just reminding ourselves of the Vigil Keep, which we did get a glimpse at, and we've defended and we've learnt a little bit about, but haven't fully explored. So, I've been looking forward to doing this for a while. Here we are in Gendaran Fields, back across the mountains, back close towards Lion's Arch, but not quite there. And we are seeing the most well-fortified, militarily powerful of the three orders, the Vigil Keep. We've seen it in the distance several times. Here it is in all of its glory and grandeur, a freaking airship in the sky up there. And now that we are a member, if we walk over to War Master Yosef here, or we're just starting as a member, he says, "Good to see you, soldier. Is there anything I can help you with?" And we say, "What's behind the doors?" And the Norn says, "The inner workings of the Vigil headquarters. As a member, you're welcome to come and go as you please. You're a War Master? What's that?" It means I have the honor of a leadership role within the Vigil. So, War Masters are leaders within the Vigil. My superior is Yavi Jorosdotir. I think Jorosdotir is the way to say it. But this basically means Jorah daughter, who reports directly to General Soulkeeper. And we say, wait, who's this Norn? Javi? Her lineage speaks for itself, he says. She's the descendant of the great Norn hero Jorah. She's a warrior and a tribute to her ancestry. Jorah is a hugely interesting Norn character that people who have played Guild Wars 1 Eye of the North, maybe you've seen my series on it, you'll recognize. She was one of the most well-known characters we had, and her descendant is here in the Vigil. And what about General Soulkeeper, the leader of the Vigil? General Almora Soulkeeper is the founder. She created it after her warband was killed by Kraukatoric himself. She's an honorable and direct leader. So remember, we've been throwing this information in several different occasions. This is it again. 5 years ago, a new Elder Dragon awoke. It carved its way through Ascalon, and as it did so, on its way to do battle with Glint and Destiny's Edge at the point Snaf died, as it travelled, Almora, a Char amongst her warband, watched everyone be corrupted, and she founded this place. So much stuff happened at that moment, at the awakening of a new Elder Dragon 5 years ago. But yeah, as a member, we can go inside the headquarters. Check it out, guys. And I love the interior to this place. I think it is so freaking fantastic. So you can see some of the races they've got. There's some Hylic. These guys playing around and laughing with one another. Over here, you can even find a Kuromi, a War Master. Here we find people who sell Vigil armor and weapons. Now, Tyrix right now is still rocking his High Legion stuff. There's his second set of High Legion stuff as he was promoted to Centurion. But we may well find ourselves wearing some Vigil gear soon enough and looking like these badasses. We'll wait till we're a little bit more initiated, though. And we get some awesome concept of various warriors in the Vigil. Coming downstairs, you'd be surprised how big this place really is. Right here in the main chamber, we find General Almora Soulkeeper herself, who says, "As you were, soldier, keep up the good work." Generic lines. I don't think she really knows or recognizes us, so we'll just say, "I will, General," and hurry on. We find Laranthir, who we met for a very brief period before, a member of the Vigil, a Sylvari member. He says, "Step up lively, soldier. Everyone either contributes to or undermines our success. There is no middle ground." Hopefully you guys remember him from the siege at the keep before. Is everything alright, Laranthir? You sound a little sad. Not sad, exactly. Just resigned. I've often sought love, but never found it. Perhaps one day. Until then, I serve the Vigil as if it were my beloved. That's a nice frame of mind, but I don't think it will make you any less lonely. Good luck, Laranthir. Damn, son. And yeah, we get these two rooms. You see a lot of chat here. The West Wing. This door leads to the Vigil Strategic Planning Room.
Take my advice. Never attack a creature before you study it.
And check it out. We got these guys who are actually devising various war plans. Probably a little over our pay grade right now. We've got several different NPCs. Shu Arai, who says, it seems kind of Canthan to me, actually. Says, "We live in dangerous times," as Lord Rodrigo is fond of saying. "You look like you've seen a great deal of battle. How goes it out there? We're not losing. Do you think we might lose? I, for one, choose optimism until the day it becomes folly. My money's on us." I love how remember, we're ferocious and badass and grueling. I would not want to meet Tyrix in the battlefield whatsoever. Here's Rodrigo, who says, "Do you have something to report, soldier?" "No, sir, I'll move along." We've slot right on in here. And the Asura War Master Ifut, huh? Do I recognize that name? She says, "If we move the Hylic tribes into position and flank with the Quaggons..." Oh, what am I saying? It's a sad day, soldier, when we have to rely on the battle instincts of Quaggons. I hear you. So we're a bit strapped for forces right now, despite the fact we are growing quite significantly. And there's another wing. There's the East Wing door too, also. And this is the vessel. A little bit less going on in this one, but these guys are hanging around, sitting in these chairs. I believe this was only with a recent update they started doing this, so it was nice to see the devs did that. And here we find Jorosdotir here herself. She says, "The whisperings from the mist grow more urgent with each passing day. I hear your name from time to time." And we, as a Char, don't believe a word of it. But check it out. So we got Fuji Shadowbane, a Tengu here. Will he actually speak to us? He will. He says, I hear good things about you. I hope to hear more. I love how many Tengu we seem to find in this area. And more sneaky doors hinting at deeper into the place that unfortunately we cannot travel to. Several other char. And yeah, this is the Vigil headquarters. Even outside of this little area, so I'm going to leave the instance and go back to Gandharan Fields. Even outside of this, there's all those extra areas up the slopes. We haven't really explored all the way over there just yet, I think, or maybe we did very briefly. There's through this gate. Lots going on, but as much as I want to explore and find more out about this order, we do have orders already, and that is to report to General Almora Soulkeeper in Fort Mariner. I suggest we hurry along and do that. So, back to Lion's Arch. Alright, so here we go. Meeting my mentor. Just as Order of Whispers members have a mentor in Tybalt, just as Dermond Priory members have a mentor in Siren. Who's wondering if there might be a mentor with the Vigil? Check it out. Listen to that glorious, awesome, powerful music here. So, back to Old Lion's Arch. We are at an area called Fort Mariner. We haven't seen this yet, but it's a pretty powerful, strong fort. A fort, perhaps just like any of the other havens on the Lion Roads, but this one right at the heart, really, of Lion's Arch itself. And look at all the Vigil members there are. Practicing, looking at their formations, duking it out here. Now, this is an interesting instance in that a lot of you guys who play the game might miss dialogue. So specifically, if you walk close to a lot of these different packets, they will occasionally say stuff that you otherwise might never get. I think the weirdest one is over in this corner, which I'll have a look at in a second. Look at all these guys practicing with rifles, shooting their various targets. I'm just going to run across the range and hope they don't shoot me. That's totally fine. Over here, or maybe it's later that we get extra dialogue by wandering around. Maybe it's later, maybe it's later. Here, you'll notice something extremely cool. A bunch of Asura gates. So, do you remember how in modern day Lion's Arch we had all those Asura gates? And I talked very vaguely about them, but not too decisively. We went through one, it went to the Heart of the Mist, the PvP area. Well, that's this. This is the old version of that Asura gate. Then, there were all of these gates as well for World versus World. So this is for the green borderland, the red borderland, the blue borderland, and the Eternal Battlegrounds, which is in the center of the three. So these gates were all for the PvP stuff, and it was really all here on this plaza. It's interesting because back before Guild Wars 2 came out, the devs suggested that one of the human gods opened a portal to the mists, and that was how we'd get there. But by the time the game came out, it was just these Asura gates instead, and we never really had that idea of a portal story coming through at all, which I find really quite curious. There's also, I mean, the boundary of the instance is over beyond that gate. But even over there as well, you can find members of a faction related to the portal that was supposedly opened. People called Zaishan, who are followers of Balthazar, the god that opened the portal. But the Zaishan never really did anything here at this fort. And then eventually, it was all destroyed and done. Anyway, listen, that's all about Tyria's past and a bit of history. Over here in this fort here, we will find our objective, and there's Almora herself, who, like I said, probably doesn't really know who we are yet.
Thank you for the warning, General Soulkeeper. I will make sure Queen Jenna receives your news, but I cannot make any promises. The Ebonhawk Treaty is Kryta's only hope for peace with the Char. We cannot withdraw our negotiators, no matter the risk.
With all due respect, Ambassador, it's a damn fool decision.
That's enough, War Master.
Ooh.
Thank you, Lady Versa. The Vigil will do our best to keep everyone safe.
Wow, so look at this. They're talking about the treaty. These aren't Vigil guys. These are Seraph. Look, lots of them. And the Ambassador. They won't speak to us. We only caught the end of that conversation. But I like this big disgruntled Norn that just sort of shouted out. So let's see.
Do you have something to report?
Yes, maybe. Okay, he says, you seem mighty soft for the Vigil recruit. I seem soft? How dare you? Still, if you're willing to work hard, you might pass muster. Don't worry, War Master. I want to fight, and I'm willing to prove myself. Jesus, this guy doesn't mess around. Huh, you've got the right attitude, even if you are green. Keep your mind keen and your eyes open. Sir, I will, sir. All right, so Almora, hello, miss. Who might you be, soldier? I am Tyrix Ripjaw, ma'am, a new recruit reporting for duty.
6 years ago, a dragon rose in Ascalon. It flew south, killing and corrupting everything in its path. I stood beneath the dragon as it passed overhead. I survived where others did not. All across Tyria, I found others who told of destruction caused by the dragons. Humans in Silvara battling undead that swarmed their shores. A surge driven from their underground cities. Joining together, we gave birth to a mighty organization, the Vigil. We're proud that you have chosen to serve alongside us. Your mentor will be Forward, one of our finest soldiers and the most stalwart Norn I know. He'll teach you to fight with the Vigil. The Vigil was created to fight the dragons, to destroy them before they destroy us. Some must fight so that all may be free. Welcome to the Vigil.
Oh, hell yeah. Badasses. Every last one of them. Oh my god. Okay, cool. So yeah, we get the story straight up there about... Ooh, what's going on with my client here? That's kind of strange. We get the story straight up there about how this place was founded. And you know, they skip a lot of stuff. In 5 years, the Vigil have made a lot of progress. A lot. Hey, Almora. I get it.
My name is Almora Soulkeeper. I founded this order. I'm its general until I die in battle, or they find someone better. Your representative sent me a letter saying that you were the best they'd ever seen. I look forward to seeing you prove that.
I'll do my best, General. I'm dedicated to fighting the dragons. Just show me where to fight.
I like you already, recruit. I've assigned you to War Master Forgel Kernson for training.
Oh, this guy?
Look here, young one. I don't care what you've done in the past. The Vigil needs heroes, not tale-tellers. It's what you do today, not yesterday, that matters to me. Understood?
Yes, War Master.
If you give each other a chance, I think you'll get along just fine. Now to business. Renegades are threatening the treaty negotiations between Kryta and the Iron Legion. The Vigil needs to ensure that the treaty goes through. Those two nations need to be fighting the dragons, not each other. You'll be dealing with Commander Samuelson, leader of the Ebon Vanguard and avid treaty supporter. Head to Ebonhawk and stop those renegades.
All right, okay, sure, that seems to make sense. Head to Ebonhawk, guys. It's happening. We're going to a very different area of the world now. General Almora Soulkeeper, you do well to listen to Forgel. He's a wise old cuss, the best of us, and have a great deal of respect for him. If you don't mind me asking, ma'am, what's Forgel's story? Many years ago, in the Norn lands, Jormag's minions slaughtered Forgel's family. He came to us to protect others from that fate, and to try and forget. Okay, so she says many years ago in the Norn lands, but we don't know how many years ago that was, or what even she really means by Norn lands. Could it be that she's not just referring to these Shiver Peaks, but these Shiver Peaks? I mean, the Norn are long-lived, right? Anyway, that's a tragic story. Thanks for telling me, General. What's really interesting here, then, is Forgel could be much older than Almora. I love another thing here. You know, the Dermond Priory, we don't get to find Dermond. Dermond's long gone. The Order of Whispers, we don't even know who the original Order of Whispers was. Master of Whispers was. Like, we don't get to meet their founders. Here, we're meeting the founder, the heart of the Vigil. And she's speaking with us. Forgel, hi. And he says the same thing. Don't underestimate me, I'm worthy, you'll see. Oh, you are you? I'll be the one to decide that, recruit. Whatever you say, sir. Alright, so, awesome. We are going to be going to Ebonhawk, and the fastest, most efficient route... Well, we kind of get a choice, actually. We could go through the plains of Ashford, and then walk there very, very long south. But a much more efficient, direct route is to actually go via Divinity's Reach. Now, as a Char, we're not going to be particularly welcomed there, but there is an Asura Gate that I have shown off in the series before and talked about between Rurikton and the Fortress of Ebonhawk. We just never went through because it seems a bit grim and dire and horrible in that area. So, it's about time the Char goes to check out the humans. For what it's worth as well, by the way, we did have a mail about this. I don't know if you guys remember, but check it out. Forgel says, recruit, General Almora Soulkeeper has issued orders to rendezvous at the headquarters in Lion's Arch. There, I'll brief you on the directives for your first mission, assisting me with the difficulty at the Fortress of Ebonhawk. The General's taken a personal interest in you. I trust you'll live up to our expectations. This is what Forgel said. Welcome to the Vigil. We also have this mail here about the Ascalon Catacombs, and the fact that despite the fact we've recovered the sword there and we slayed the ghost of King Adalburn, more stuff's going on. Listen, congratulations on defeating King Adalbern and foiling his plot to send his ghost army to Tyria's surface, but unfortunately it looks like there are more than angry spirits lurking in the catacombs. It turns out Adalbern and his ghostly minions were keeping darker things at bay in those ruined tombs. With Adalbern defeated, monsters are now rising to the surface and endangering a priory camp located inside. I thought you, of all people, would be interested in returning to the site of your previous triumph and setting matters right. As always, your herald. That, of course, is explorable, but we kind of have bigger fish to fry right now. But that is the story of what's going on there, since we hobbled our way out after hitting the deck, actually. Of all our characters, Tyrix being the one to have done so and continued on. So, Divinity's Reach. Oh, look, we have another player here as well, another chart. So, I don't want to spend very long in Divinity's Reach at all, to be honest. As a chart, I wouldn't feel very welcome amongst these people, no matter what the state of the world is, and no matter what treaties and negotiations are going on between Salma and Smoda. Now, remember, on both sides, there are people fighting against it. The Separatists are humans that don't like the treaty. The Renegades are Char that don't like the treaty. So you kind of have this really bizarre situation where both sides... Can you imagine the Separatists and the Renegades working together to perpetuate their war against one another? Like, that would almost be a bit cartoony and ridiculous, wouldn't it? But that's essentially something that could happen, or these are the different factions we could find ourselves rubbing up against. And the Renegades, not the Separatists, is who we were hearing about a second ago. Here we are at one of the high roads. This is the Lissa area. So the goddess Lissa, when gazing upon you I see beauty, but it's ephemeral. The illusions fade upon your passing and leave me to wonder if I ever knew you at all. And yet, I knew I could not look away. That's from Malcor. So, without a human continuing the story, who has our perspective on the gods now? I don't know, but Tyrix learning a little bit about Lissa here, and a character called Malcor who made this statue. Back there, you'll notice that there is a portal to leave the city. Now, what this takes us to is Lake Doric, which you may remember I mentioned a few videos ago. But it's a level 80 zone. We are not at that point yet, and if we try to walk through, it actually won't let us. There's a big red cross. We can speak to this lieutenant, and he says access to Lake Doric is currently closed off to non-essential personnel. Understood, thank you. So, we don't get to go through there just yet. Maybe later in the story, though. Maybe.
Did you find out?
Yeah.
Did she?
Yep.
That's great. Let me know what happens next.
Don't worry, I will.
I have no idea what they're talking about. So we're going to travel down. This is Rurikton here. It's kind of even worse that as a child we have to travel through this, because Rurikton is like the Ascalonians' home, really, here in Divinity's Reach. The gate we're traveling to was established to help the people of Divinity's Reach and the Crichtons support and assist the Ascalonians far away. So let's see what the people here kind of think. People make a fuss about families here. They're so concerned with tracing their lineage back to heroes of the past instead of worrying about the greatness they themselves can do here and now. What about your family? My family came to Kryta after Queen Salma's coronation. They weren't legends, but they were good people. Ever since, the men of our family have served in defense of the Queen. As do you, I see. That I do. I may not be glamorous, and no one may ever write stories about me, but I do my duty in defense of Queen and country. Just a little insight into a random normal person there. Here's a woman called Tessa. I'm trying to write a song, but getting hung up on one part. What rhymes with centaur? Really far, a star, or my bar. My bar? A star. Captain Logan Thackeray. He is a shining star. He is the greatest foe of the hated centaurs. His smile is a summer day. His laugh is like the breeze. Oh, Captain Logan Thackeray, will you marry me? That song is very personal. Thank you, your words are so kind. Maybe the next song I'll write will be about you. Okay, I'm moving on. Thanks very much, lady. Moving on over here, what else we got? We got some apples and apple carts. The apples look delicious. The Malones look particularly ripe, and I think this woman even talks about that. Hey, have a look at these freshly grown Malone apples. It's the taste my family made famous. They do look terrific. They have every right to be proud. There was someone that I really wanted to talk to here. So many flavors. These guys are just looking at the stalls. That would be really interesting as a char. That I don't quite recall. I think there's a book stand here. We can read a book. that would be particularly interesting to Ruriktonians. There's a good number of books on display here, including a rare copy of Ancient Heroes of Ascalon, Asgard's Final Stand, and The War in Kryta. The War in Kryta being one of the mini campaigns that was released as content in Guild Wars 1. But yeah, moving on. I don't want to spend too long here wandering around. This guy's being lazy and doesn't want to carry these barrels in. Here we will find the Asura Gate nestled back here with these statues we can interact with. Bravery, a strong heart never falters in the face of insurmountable obstacles. Here we get another one. Resilience, even when the greatest walls crumble to dust, our spirit remains unbroken. And you can really get a sense here of the resilience and how the humans feel like they're on a back foot. This is my favorite place to come when I need some place to think. It's the sound of the water. It's always changing, yet always the same. It helps to put me at ease, if only for a short time. There she was talking about cleaving up the char with a meat cleaver. I don't know whether you guys heard that, but that's absolutely what she was doing. And the Asura Gate's just up there now. There is a very cool NPC here. Called this tour guide, who we've heard snippets of this dialogue before, but it was a long time ago, and I think it's really important that Tyrix hears what he has to say, because he will talk about this Asura Gate, and he would talk about Rurikton, and he would talk about Ebonhawk, and I think it's really important. So, hi there, welcome to Rurikton. Care for a tour? I'd like that, yes. So we're just going to let him speak. He'll take a while to do his tour, but I hope you guys enjoy.
Some say Ascalon is lost, that Adelbern's foe fire and the Char legions have destroyed our kingdom's soul. This is simply false. So long as Ebonhawk stands, so stands Ascalon.
Can I talk to you for a moment?
Is there a problem?
Come inside. I'll tell you all about it.
More of those Asura gates. Think of the supplies we could move in here.
You have any idea how much it costs to ship something by Asura Gate? Maybe Ebonhawk is willing to pay those prices, but I'm not. All I get from those flop-eared rats is attitude.
Hey, I'm not the one who lost at Polymock. Get over it.
That gate leads to Ebonhawk, the last stronghold of Ascalon. We send food, supplies, and troops to support them. Without that aid, our troops would be completely cut off. The Seraph sent to Ebonhawk to watch over Crichton interests are called Fallen Angels by the Ebon Vanguard.
Right, that's a key one. Fallen Angels. They are the Queen's men.
The Crichtons aren't as tough as we are. They aren't ready for our kind of war.
Who we will find in Ebonhawk. They're really cool. They're like Seraph, but all dyed black. They're badass.
Just the usual. Ministry won't send troops, but we're trying to send food.
I'm sick of this. You know, if we had Ebonhawk as a strong ally, we'd have those centaurs surrounded. We'd crush them.
Ebonhawk has its own problems.
Little mention of Polymock back there as well, if you guys saw a moment ago.
Many of our sons and daughters have gone to fight the Char. Some return to be cared for in Divinity's Reach. Some never return.
Yeah, you're damn right, thinks Tyrix.
Minister Wee's mansion is a landmark, and it's also the venue of his legendary parties. His daughter is a famous violinist.
Alright, that bit of the tour is not so relevant.
She's even played for the Queen several times. If you're quiet, sometimes you can hear her practicing.
Of course, Casey was a participant in one of those parties at Minister Wee's mansion, the very one and same.
Queen Jenna has been kind to us, but she is not our queen. Even now, Divinity's Reach is trying to forge peace with the Iron Legion. I wonder what the Vanguard thinks of that.
And there you go, that's the last line of the tour. And how, you know, the people that live here in Rurikton, the humans, they don't even really feel like they are Crichton. They are Ascalonian, and he wonders, what do the Ebon Vanguard behind this gate in Ebonhawk think of the treaty? Well, as far as the Vigil can see, there are some issues. It's time to return to Ascalon, guys, and a distant area of the world. We're going to Ebonhawk. I think there's enough build-up. I'll see you for that next time.